There is a golden rule at the county records office where I used to work. After 10 p.m., nobody enters the basement archives alone. It's written in bold red letters in the employee handbook. Most people thought it was for safety, in case you tripped over a box or had a medical emergency down there amongst the miles of paper. I thought that too, until the night I decided to ignore it. I was behind on a digitization project. I needed the overtime money for rent, and my partner, Dave, had called in sick with the flu. I didn't want to lose the hours, so I didn't tell my supervisor. I just swiped my badge, took the freight elevator down to sublevel 2, and told myself I'd be quick. The archives are massive. Picture a football field of metal shelving units, dim fluorescent lights that buzz like angry wasps, and the smell of decaying paper and dust. It's a heavy silence down there. The kind of silence that feels like it has weight. I set up my laptop at the scanning station in aisle 4. For the first hour, it was fine. I put my headphones in and listened to a playlist called True Hospital Horror Stories on YouTube. I know, ironic choice for a basement shift, but I liked the adrenaline. Around 11:30 p.m., the motion sensor lights in aisle 1 flickered on. I took my headphones off. "Dave?" I called out, thinking maybe he rallied and came in. Silence, just the hum of the air conditioner. Then, the lights in aisle 2 clicked on. Click. Buzz. Then aisle 3. Something was moving down the rows, triggering the sensors, heading straight toward aisle 4 where I was sitting. I stood up, gripping a heavy stapler. "Security? Is that you?" The lights in my aisle 4, suddenly surged brighter, then popped and went pitch black. I was plunged into darkness, the only light coming from the glow of my laptop screen. In that pale blue light, I saw the shadow of a pair of feet standing at the end of the row. Just feet. Pale, bare, and dirty. They weren't wearing shoes. "Look, the building is closed," I stammered, my voice trembling. The feet took a step forward, then another. But there was no sound, no footsteps on the concrete. It was like they were floating just millimeters above the floor. I grabbed my phone to use the flashlight, but it was dead. I swear it had 80% battery 10 minutes ago. The figure stepped into the weak light of the laptop. It wasn't a person. It looked like a man, but his proportions were wrong. His arms were too long, hanging past his knees, and his face was blurred, like a smudge on a photograph. I didn't think. I ran. I scrambled over the desk, knocking the scanner to the floor, and sprinted toward the emergency stairs. I could hear the metal shelves rattling behind me, falling over one by one like dominoes, as if something massive was crashing through them to get to me. I burst through the stairwell door and ran up 4 flights without stopping. When I got to the lobby, the security guard looked at me like I was crazy. "There's someone downstairs. They knocked the shelves over." He pulled up the CCTV feed for the basement. Nothing. The shelves were standing perfectly still. The lights were off. There was no one there. But then he zoomed in on the scanning station where I had been sitting. On the laptop screen, which was still glowing, someone had opened a Word document. In jagged, repeated letters, it read, "Rule number 1. Rule number 1. Rule number 1. I never went back down there. I don't care how good the overtime pay is. Some rules exist for a reason. If you work at a gas station in the middle of nowhere, you get used to weirdos. You get the drunks, the people running from bad breakups, and the truckers who haven't slept in 3 days. You learn to just nod, smile behind the bulletproof glass, and wait for them to leave. But 3 months ago, I had an encounter that broke me. It was 3:15 a.m. on a Thursday. It was pouring rain, a real storm that shook the windows of the little kiosk. I was bored, leaning on the counter, watching 5 creepy things caught on gas station CCTV on my phone to pass the time. A black sedan pulled into the lot. It didn't pull up to a pump. It parked right at the edge of the darkness, facing the store windows. The headlights stayed on, the high beams blinding me even through the rain. I waited for someone to get out. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. I picked up the intercom microphone. "Can I help you folks?" No movement. The car just sat there, rumbling. I figured maybe they were sleeping or checking directions. I went back to cleaning the coffee pots. About 20 minutes later, the store phone rang. I picked it up. "Shell station, how can I help you?" "Open the back door," a voice said. It was calm, flat, almost robotic. I froze. "Excuse me?" "The back door," the voice repeated. "The lock is jammed. I know it is. Open it." My stomach dropped. The lock on the back delivery door was broken. It had been broken for 2 days, and only me and the manager knew about it. We had it secured with a flimsy slide bolt from the inside. "Who is this?" I asked, gripping the phone tight. "I'm outside, in the car. You're wearing a blue shirt. You're making coffee. Open the door, Michael." He knew my name. I wasn't wearing a name tag. I slammed the phone down and immediately dialed 911. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hit the buttons. "I tell them I whispered to the operator. "There's a man outside threatening me. He knows the back door is broken." As I was on the phone, the lights in the store cut out. All of them. The pumps, the overheads, the coolers. The only light came from those blinding high beams outside, cutting through the glass and casting long, stretching shadows across the floor. Then I heard it, the handle of the back door jiggling. Clunk, clunk, clunk. "He's trying to get in," I told the operator, backing into the corner behind the counter, grabbing a hammer I kept under the register. The jiggling stopped. Then a heavy impact hit the door. Boom! The slide bolt rattled. Boom! He was throwing his entire body weight against it. Boom! The wood frame started to splinter. I screamed at the operator to hurry. I saw the headlights of the police cruiser turn into the lot just as the back door flew open with a deafening crack. The wind and rain swirled into the back room. I raised the hammer, ready to swing. But the doorway was empty. The police searched the perimeter. They searched the woods behind the station. They found footprints in the mud leading up to the back door and footprints leading away. But they stopped in the middle of the parking lot. Just stopped, as if the person had vanished into thin air. The black car was gone. The security cameras had been spray-painted black an hour before the car even pulled in. I handed my keys to the officer and told him to give them to my boss. I didn't even clock out. That was the last night I ever worked customer service. The Motel 6 off Highway 95 isn't exactly the Ritz-Carlton. The carpets are sticky, the walls are thin, and the front desk is basically just a wooden counter in a small lobby that smells like stale smoke and pine cleaner. I worked the graveyard shift there for 6 months. My job was mostly checking in late arrivals and dealing with noise complaints. The front desk was L-shaped. It had a computer, a phone, and underneath, a large open space for my legs. The front of the desk was solid wood, so customers couldn't see my lower body, but the back was completely open. It was a slow Sunday night. I was feeling drowsy, fighting to keep my eyes open. I had my shoes kicked off under the desk, rubbing my feet on the carpet. Around 2 a.m., I started smelling something. It was faint at first. It smelled like unwashed hair or wet dog. I sniffed the air. I checked the trash can next to me. Empty. I leaned over the counter to see if a homeless person had wandered into the lobby. The lobby was empty. I figured it was the ventilation system. I went back to typing an email. About 30 minutes later, I felt a draft on my ankles. Just a light breeze, like someone blowing air. I stopped typing. The air conditioning vents were on the ceiling. There shouldn't be a draft under the desk. I slowly pulled my feet back, tucking them under my chair. I told myself I was being paranoid. I'd been watching too many videos like My Stalker Story Animated, and it was messing with my head. Then I heard a sound. A soft, wet sound, like lips smacking together. It came from directly underneath the desk, inches from where my feet had just been. My blood turned to ice. I was sitting in the chair. If I looked down between my legs, I would see under the desk, but I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. I slowly reached for the landline phone on the desk. I didn't look down. I kept my eyes fixed on the lobby wall. I dialed 911. but I didn't pick up the receiver yet. Then, a hand, dirty, calloused, and shaking, reached out from the darkness under the desk and rested gently on my knee. I didn't scream. I just reacted. I launched myself backward, the office chair flying across the room and crashing into the back wall. I scrambled over the back counter, grabbing a pair of scissors. "Get out!" I screamed. "Get out now!" From the dark hollow of the desk, a man slowly crawled out. He was skinny, wearing filthy rags, and his eyes were wide and manic. He had a knife in his belt. He didn't attack me. He just stood up, smiled, a horrible, toothless smile, and said, "You have very soft skin." Then he turned and walked out the front door as casual as you please. When the police arrived, they found a sleeping bag rolled up way in the back corner under the desk behind the file cabinets. They found food wrappers, a bottle of urine, and a notepad. The notepad was filled with times. 10 p.m., she sat down. 11:15 p.m., she took her shoes off. 1:30 a.m., she stretched. He had been down there for 3 days, 3 shifts, just inches away from my legs, listening to me breathe. I don't work in hotels anymore, and now, whenever I sit at a desk, I always check underneath first. Lock your doors, turn off the lights, and stay in bed if you value your peace of mind. But if you're ready to face the shadows, hit that like button right now. For more true life horror that will haunt your dreams, subscribe to Mr. Hunting channel.